I am a fool. That is one thing for certain.
Hey, like dinners. I think
Hello?
live. We'll see. I can never tell if we're live or not because when I look at the screen, it's there's a 20 or 30-second delay. But the last time I looked at our live video, it Hey, like dinners. Oh wait, no, it's okay. I need to turn the sound off. Okay. So if you're looking at my live feed, make sure that you turn the sound off because otherwise it'll like reverberate and it'll start backing up over and over and over. So anyway, thanks Jennifer for joining me again today.
Yeah, Brian. Happy to be there with you.
So we're talking about structure today. What's really interesting about structure for me is like for me and you, let's say you're always trying to create a good structure for your relationships, right? Because structure is the most difficult when it comes to how we're all relating to each other. So Sunday night, so we were supposed to go on yesterday, and Sunday night, my brother calls me and he says, "Hey, all my family is sick and puking. I need you to take me to Seattle so that I can go back and because he's working on his house and trying to sell it." And so I ended up driving my brother to Seattle at Sunday night. I think I got there at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So then I sent you a message. What was it? It was right before we were supposed to get on yesterday morning. It's like,
Yes.
sorry, I'm just waking up. I'm just getting out of bed. So we had a conversation and trying to figure out, we're trying to just birthing this weekly routine. So sometimes things
Mhm.
happen and you just, you know, so structure sometimes breaks down and you just kind of have to go with the flow, right? So
Totally.
yeah, so let me know before I go into like business structure or anything. I would love to hear stories from you about how maybe your structure and your relationships are breaking down. Let's say you had plans or, whatever, and how often you have to deal with it and what you do mentally to try and prioritize the right structures at the right time.
Okay, wow. I was not expecting this question, but it's great. It's just gonna come out as it's gonna come out for sure. And that's the beauty of not planning, right? It's like having a structure, meaning like we are meeting at that time today, but then having enough space to be creative. So for me, it's, structure and flow is like the masculine and the feminine, and that's also how I tend to operate in my relationships or also in my business or in my day to day. And it's easier said than done because we can say this as a concept, but then to really embody it and to really live by it is another thing. And for me, the easiest access to manifesting this way of living is really from the body, like, embodiment. I'm an embodiment coach. So for me, the structure of the body is really the bones, right? So it's the core center structure of the body where everything is attached and it's grounded on earth. So it's the main point of connection to earth. At the end, when we are dead, it's actually the bones that are left. So this is what holds us. And within around the structure and whatever is attached, emotions and energy and circulation um, of electricity, which is the nervous system, circulation of blood, all of this is more the flow, the feminine. So the structure is here to hold and the rest is here to flow. And as we connect this inside, it manifests easier in life. So without entering too much explanation, going through more stories, um, like the honest truth is that very often it can be super chaotic. So we plan something when I'm really choosing the creator path, meaning that I'm constantly listening to where the divine is guiding me, or God, or nature, or the universe.
Whatever.
And I'm really, really in co-creation with what's coming my way, with what is required for me to become, per se, to embody more of that calling. So the structure is evolving in time. So I can say, okay, I'm going to plan my whole year. I'm going to have a workshop here. I'm going to, plan this program for this time. But the truth is, as I'm evolving and as my inner structure changes and inner flow changes, also the structures and the planning from the outside changes. So it can create a lot of uh unknown and insecurity, and that's how I feel it. But again, because the resilience of the nervous system is built, it means that we can navigate these spaces of unknown a lot easier. And that's the beauty of the embodiment practice. But yeah, relationship wise, I mean, this is broad, you know, like, but relational wise, for me, it's offering a space where two people meet, two souls meet in two different bodies, whether it's man or woman, and it's a meeting. It's a meeting, and it's the same thing as listening to God's guidance. So there's God guidance when two people meet, and it's the art of listening. Why is this meeting happening? What are the structures, the appropriate structures to put in place for the highest benefit of both parties, for the highest evolution of the soul of both parties? And that's how I evaluate everything. And again, easier said than done, because when we address reality, meaning I'm meeting a person, there's the calling, which is the soul and what's required for the evolution and the growth, but there's also the reality, meaning the actual structures in people's life. Two people meeting, they already have lives in place, they already have structures in place, they have wounds and traumas from the past, they've come with a baggage of memory, of experiences. So it's not only two souls meeting, it's two bodies meeting. And when the two bodies meet, this is when it gets you know, like it gets like, it can get conflictual or it can get juicy.
It's always a sine wave, right? It's always like this, right? Yeah, I mean, it seems like even if it's a really good relationship, it looks like a sine wave.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not only
There's so much to share, you know, so much to share on relationship.
and when you're listening, especially when you're serving, because we're always in service to each other in a relationship, right? I'm trying to figure out how I need to serve you as much as possible, but I'm also trying at the same time, I'm listening to you, but then I'm listening to my higher guidance to see what you need. I've raised my hand. Now Zoom thinks I'm raising my hand. We flop back and forth. But you know what I
Okay,
mean?
this is something automatic.
Yeah, so
And,
we'll put your hand up and it'll raise your hand. See the
oh,
little
really? Okay. Anyway, I didn't know this.
I think it's
Interesting
a new
fact.
Zoom thing. Yeah, it's like some new plug-in for Zoom.
I
Anyway,
guess I'm very curious now. But anyway, maybe it's something to set. But yeah,
yeah, because I mean, as long as you're listening to your higher guidance, and a lot of times you don't even realize it from a higher perspective is you're always serving each other from the higher perspective, and you won't even realize it. It's all unconscious. And then when you look back
yes,
at it years later, it's like, oh, okay, I remember I did that unconsciously, but that was the best thing for me and that person, right?
exactly. But okay, but again, this is really from this soul perspective and calling and spiritual perspective. As an embodiment coach, I always bring people to reality because there's the ideal of
Well, the
living soul
now.
to soul.
Yeah, if you're working from the now, you can't be looking things from a spiritual perspective. What does
Exactly.
it look like in 3 years? Why am I doing this right now?
No, but what I'm trying to say is that to live by this is not as easy as it sounds, because there are things in the way. So, you know, when we come in contact with the body and with reality, you meet two people, and you know, sometimes values are not going to be the same. Sometimes, you know, desires are not going to be the same. Like it's a matter of learning to communicate consciously and acknowledge who the person is in front of you, and to acknowledge where they're at on their path, and to acknowledge where you're at on their path, and to really have this integrity. uh and that's why I insist so much on embodiment, because the embodiment creates enough space to have clarity on needs, to have clarity on what you hold inside, your desires, your vision, where you're going, and to have proper conversations. Because so many people get illusioned by falling in love, you know, or you know, whatever that is. It's beautiful, but when it comes to reality, there's really work. There's work to do, and to really follow God's guidance and to create in the name of the divine. It's really the art of dropping what we call what's in the way, the ego or whatever. But again, the ego is useful for some purposes, but sometimes it really gets in the way of creation. And it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in relationships. It's the same thing in anything. And that's, I see this challenge constantly in my life and in relationships for sure.
So I'll share a story. I mean, just one more add on to that is it's almost like you're
Yeah.
kind of splitting yourself down the middle, because you're always
Yes.
trying to what I'm trying to do is make sure that I feel like I'm meeting your needs, but I'm also communicating to you that what my needs are at the same time. So
Exactly.
uh you know, because it's, yeah, I mean, that's how else can you do it? Because if you're constantly in service to somebody else and you're not getting your needs met, you're not communicating that, it feels like you're just in a narcissistic relationship. And so then
Exactly.
you're falling out of it's, you have, both people have to communicate their needs, and so that you're both serving each other, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah,
And that's exactly it.
right,
To 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 break any codependent dynamic, you know?
right. So, this is a story I had. I went for this was years ago. I was on a wind farm job, and I ended up being put in charge of this whole job because we had some problematic managers that got fired for different reasons. They just weren't doing their job. They were just driving around in a truck and they weren't really, serving the job space. So I ended up getting, and it was a really weird situation. It was in Kansas, and we couldn't get linemen. It was a line job, but we could not get outside wiremen. I think this was like, it's almost 20 years ago. This was in like 2005, 2006. Um, And so I ended up getting put in charge of this whole job. And I had a lot of, since that we couldn't get linemen available at the time, it was all inside wiremen who had never done this work before. So you've got about 50 inside wiremen working on a job, never doing anything more. So you have to create structure and communication to make sure that that job is going to be completed. Now, the way it ended up getting structured was very unique. I ended up and if I was to do this over, knowing what I know now, I would have done it differently. And it's kind of the reason why I created the contract I did, where I, decentralize into smaller groups where you can serve each other. But to make a long story short, is I just had so many people spread out, and I just ended up being just kind of like, I mean, I didn't have time in the day to really do anything for myself. All I was doing was just putting out fires all day long. And so you see this in the business community. You see these pyramids, structures where if one person is in charge of too many people and you don't break the teams down into smaller people, then it just gets super destructive and super stressful. And that's why you see that in the entrepreneur community, this is just a normal thing. And they even teach that. You see business coaches teach that is plan your exit strategy. Everyone wants to plan their exit strategy from the business they're creating because they're just building something to build a business. And because of the way we have businesses structured right now, it creates just so much stress by building that business that nobody wants to do it in the long term, because they're not creating a structure to create freedom enough to where you have the power to create. And that stress from that structure actually keeps the creation process from the whole group. If that makes sense. Even the people at the
Mm,
bottom, they're so reliant on the person making a decision, they don't have freedom to create. And then it's the same from the top down. That's why you see so many executive coaches out there, because they're constantly alleviating a trauma, right? Because this person is under so much stress and they're taking care of too much stuff. They feel like they have too much responsibility. And so it's this unequal energy relationship on all the ends.
mm,
In every direction, it's creating unequal exchange of energy. So, in a really good relationship, perfect relationship, you have equal exchanges of energy. You and I are,
yes.
having an equal exchange of energy, but our business structures and that are operating now don't rarely create equal exchanges of energy. I mean, you can think about it in just about every term. And if you have a team leader that's in charge of, let's say, 4 or 5 people, if they're not equally exchanging the energy during the day and they're always reaching out to one person who they feel like is in charge, and it's a codependent relationship in any way, then it creates uh, unequal team dynamics. That hierarchical psychology of trying to move into the next position creates an unequal exchange of energy. All of those
Mm,
things creates all these burdens on the whole system. And then so,
totally.
so that's what we're seeing now. All those systems are breaking down. I mean, you were actually, I'd love to talk for you to speak about maybe the local that you're in, because you were talking about to me earlier, maybe it was last week, about a cat just ran into me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into too much preciseness of, like what and where,
Is it
but yes,
infrastructure? Yeah.
it's just infrastructures and systems. I'm in different systems. I live in community. I'm involved in a network company, a network marketing company also, that I believe in because it's promoting embodiment, and it's promoting also frequency and bioresonance, which is part of my work. I have my own business structure also. And I've always been passionate about studying systems from very young, like, and I was an engineer before, so I have this mind of like studying systems and feeling like, when you press here, how it moves there, like just system thinking. Um, and it's a very strong topic, but yes, the structures of top down are all breaking. I'm noticing the same thing everywhere. We're really, really entering a new era where collaboration is going to be the main ingredients, but we are not there yet. We have not found the perfect formula yet. I think that what you're channeling in is an amazing vision, and I really believe the same. But I even see it within my own inner system that there is still hierarchy in my system, in my body, the way I speak to myself, the way, like, so it's all about breaking these systems and releasing these grids from inside so that we can actually start creating something new. Because I'm exactly at this point in my business where I'm like, I don't want to be doing it alone anymore. I cannot do it alone anymore. I'm, let's say, the CEO because I'm holding a vision and I'm channeling the vision, but that's the only reason why I'm the CEO of it. It's because I'm choosing to take the baby and birth it. It's just like a mother, right? But yet the mother still needs a tribe and a village for a kid to be growing. And that's the way I'm trying to really approach my business as a baby. But it's really challenging me lately because I don't have the answer, but I know something must happen. I need collaborators, I need networkers. I need the vision. The vision needs networkers. The vision needs collaborators. The vision needs people who love doing video editing. The vision needs people who love teaching. The vision needs, and that's where we are in co-creation with God, because it's not about me. I'm just choosing to carry the vision, and I'm saying yes to it because I'm designed for it, and it's okay. That's how it is. It doesn't make me superior or inferior to anybody. And also, I think this is something to release out of the grids that, oh, like he's at the top, therefore he's superior. No, it's just a different role.
Right.
And there's a reason why this person is put there and another person is somewhere else. And we have to also admit, and I'm noticing this, that the more you embody your potential and energy, the more, yes, you rank up. It looks like it's a rank up, but it's just life. Because the more you have power, the more you have responsibilities. It just comes with it.
But the more organically that happens naturally, the less destructive it is, right? If it's
Totally. If it's the mind, yeah,
the ego's talking and it's coming from money, and money is creating that position, then it's destructive. And that's why we see what we're seeing now. Because you're always
yes, because yeah, you're bringing very strong topics, Brian. It's all very charged for sure. But money, like, because I really don't want to be a perpetrator that money is bad. Money is godly, divinely created also. It's just it's just that we associated
how
money
you're
with
using it.
survival, but we associated it with trauma.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's why it's all tainted by all this shadow, but it doesn't need to be. So if we are in service to God's purpose and money pours into our bank because we are in service to God's purpose or the divine purpose, and we're using this money to be rechanneled into purpose, then it's just really going to flow. So that's just a different paradigm. But when we are scared to lack money and we start creating structures because we are scared to lack money, then this is when we are perpetuating the trauma. And
Right.
it's very multi-layered topic, and I'm very careful when I bring these topics because it's charged.
Yeah. And I actually really, this is one of my main topics I love to talk about, because when you look, all you have to do is make sure that you see that the money that is in the bank, it doesn't matter how much money is there. It doesn't matter if it's $100,000, 200, $1 million, is if you see that as your support and that creates your freedom, then you lost the point, because your
Exactly.
freedom comes from here. And so you're always trying to listen to what the body needs from divine inspiration. And when you too much money allows the ego to take over, right? And you're not then you're just making decisions. Hey, I want to go do this. Hey, I want to go do that. Because now you're not thinking.
Exactly.
Now you're not listening to the needs of the body around you. And when there's a need, you place your own interests in front of that need, because now that need doesn't matter to you, because I can do whatever I want. I have all this money sitting next to me.
So that's why, you know, like both extremes are also stemmed in trauma. Like, oh, like, I mean, having too much money or having zero money can also lead to the same kind of behavior, which is very egoic. Exactly. And it's an art, because so many people are going to project selfishness on people who have a lot of money, or they're going to, or there can be abuse in both sides. You know, there can be abuse to the poor people, poor, or there can be abuse towards the rich, right? And there can be projections and angers towards both sides. I mean, like they exist in both grids, and I've felt both grids inside my own cells, you know, being in both positions. So it's a very fine topic. And what I want to share mainly is that human needs are important, and to nurture a body is very important. So if somebody, yes, pays a massage therapist every week because they want their body to feel nurtured, and they go on a trip because they feel nurtured, and then this helps them have a better frequency and helps them also have, you know, be of more service with God's guidance, guiding people to have a lifestyle. Also, there's nothing wrong. We have to release everything that we are in denial of. Everything that we see is God created. Even the ego, even the selfish person, everything is God created. It's a specific frequency that's on earth because it's supporting a collective somewhere.
Yeah.
So
and
it's just to transcend.
So
everything is growing.
Yeah, as we come into higher, we're witnessing actually an evolutionary process, and I write this all the time. People are having you don't understand it, and so you can't predict exactly where it's going to go, but you're creating a group consciousness. You know, your body is a group consciousness. Like I like to talk about it this way, because every cell in your body is Jennifer. But would every cell in your body, if you were a cell, you wouldn't say, "Hey, Jennifer, I'm Jennifer," right? Every cell in your body has its own function in the body, and it's serving the body in a different way. And so it's, but it might not be aware of the whole body, if that makes sense. But once, as a community, we start to become aware of a larger consciousness, and we are a part of a larger body, then everything starts to change a little bit. You know, in the past.
And it's about communication. It's about like cells communicating, because yes, our organs can be isolated and they're doing their own thing. The liver is doing one thing, the stomach is doing one thing. At the end of the day, and that's what yoga teaches us, it's unified. It's about, hey, the liver communicates to the kidneys, and they communicate to the bladder, and they communicate to the brain. So it's communication as a collective, and it's the same as within an organization or within a relationship. It's communication. Are we going in the same direction? Or, you know, liver is going there, heart is going there, brain is going there. No, it's, are we going in the same direction? And that's what creates harmony and coherence. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, we can go on for a long time.
Yeah,
but
I was just thinking, it's like I don't know how long we've been on here, but I should
probably half an hour, like 25 minutes. I think we're good. But
maybe what do you want to talk about next week? I mean, we could talk about, because everything is sexual, right? When you think about your communication, even this conversation, we're sharing and exchanging energies and communicating. It's all about sex, right? I mean, it's going to come to
totally
eventually.
For sure. I mean, it's one of my favorite subjects ever. I mean, like business is, and money is, and relationship is. Sex is amazing. And I mean, all of it comes to always the same principles. It's like energy flowing and organic. So all my messages are always about this, and staying authentic and yeah, embodied. And yeah, totally up for it.
So yeah,
I'll be in Portugal next week, so let's see how we manage with time. But yes.
Oh yeah, you could. You're in the Healy community, so you could just bring them on in. We have a group discussion.
A group sexual
Let them hover
discussion.
over you. Yeah.
Yeah. We can do that. We can do that.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're always beautiful and sitting there in the beautiful part of Central America, right?
Yes, I'm in Costa Rica, and I also want to say that if people want to get in touch with me, there's a free gift available. You can check my website, jenniferacad.com, and we'll put the link also of the free gift underneath the video.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Catch you later.
Thank you. Love you, Brian. Cheers. Thanks.